The champagne flute shattered against the marble floor of the grand ballroom in downtown Chicago, its shards scattering like the fragile dreams Madison had carried across 3 states to this very moment. In the stunned silence that followed, every eye turned to her. The uninvited stranger in the rumpled trench coat, her short-cropped hair damp from the relentless autumn rain, clutching a faded photograph that trembled in her fist. "Sarah," she whispered, her voice cracking like thunder over Lake Michigan. "It's me, your sister, the one you thought drowned in that river 20 years ago." But Sarah, radiant in her ivory gown, only blinked in confusion from the altar, while the bride, Emily, let out a sharp, mocking laugh that sliced through the air like a knife. "Oh, honey, this isn't the time for your little dramatic entrance. Save the sob story for the drag show." Madison's heart pounded as if it were trying to escape her chest, the weight of 2 decades crashing down in that opulent hotel ballroom where crystal chandeliers dangled like judgmental stars. She had driven through the night from a dingy apartment in Milwaukee, the old photo, the only tether to her fractured past, pressed against the dashboard like a talisman. It showed 2 girls, no older than 8 and 10, grinning gap-toothed on the banks of the Fox River, their arms linked in unbreakable promise. Sarah, with her wild curls and freckles like scattered constellations. Madison, smaller, fiercer, already sporting a scraped knee from climbing the highest oak. That day, a flash flood had swept Madison away during a family picnic, her screams lost to the roar of muddy waters. Rescued miles downstream by a passing fisherman, she woke in a stranger's home, her name erased, her family scattered like leaves in the wind. Foster homes blurred into one another, cold beds, colder hearts, until she pieced together fragments of memory. Sarah's laugh, the scent of her mother's lavender soap, the ache of being utterly, irrevocably lost. Now, at 28, Madison had rebuilt herself in the quiet rebellion of Milwaukee's queer underground scene. She waitressed at a dive bar where rainbow flags fluttered defiantly against blizzards, and on weekends, she strummed her guitar at open mics, pouring her loneliness into songs about ghosts and girls who slipped through fingers like water. It was one such song, uploaded to a dusty family forum, that led her here, an anonymous tip from a distant cousin, Sarah Kensington, thriving architect, about to marry Emily Hargrove in a lavish ceremony that screamed old money and new beginnings. Madison had agonized for weeks, scripting letters she never sent, rehearsing speeches in her cracked bathroom mirror. But doubt gnawed at her. What if Sarah didn't remember? What if this polished life wanted no part of the ragged girl from the river? The invitation had come by sheer luck or fate's cruel joke. Posing as a distant friend of the family, she'd sweet-talked her way onto the guest list, her pulse racing as she stepped into the hotel's gilded lobby. Chicago's skyline loomed outside the floor-to-ceiling windows, a jagged reminder of how far she'd come, how close she was to shattering it all. Guests milled about in tailored suits and silk dresses, their laughter a symphony of privilege that made Madison's thrift store boots feel like lead weights. She scanned faces, heart leaping at every flash of blonde hair, until she saw her, Sarah, laughing with a cluster of bridesmaids near the floral archway, her gown cascading like a waterfall of silk. Time folded in on itself. The girl from the photo had bloomed into a woman whose eyes still held that same spark of unyielding curiosity. But before Madison could cross the room, Emily swept in like a storm cloud in couture, a vision of sharp cheekbones and designer red lipstick, her auburn bob impeccable, her laughter a weapon honed in boardrooms. At 32, Emily was the heiress to a chain of upscale boutiques, her life a curated feed of brunches and bridezillas. She and Sarah had met at a charity gala 2 years prior, their whirlwind romance a fairy tale of rooftop proposals and whispered vows. Yet beneath Emily's polished exterior simmered unease, a flicker of the conservative upbringing she'd fled but never fully escaped. Her family's whispers about those kinds of girls lingered like smoke, even as she stood on the precipice of her own queer union. Madison edged closer, the photo burning in her pocket, her throat tight with words she'd rehearsed 1,000 times. "Sarah, it's Madison. From the river. Remember the oak tree? The one we called our castle." But the music swelled, a string quartet launching into Pachelbel's canon, and Sarah turned, her smile polite, distant. "I'm sorry, do I know you?" The words landed like a slap, polite venom that rooted Madison to the spot. That's when Emily noticed, her eyes narrowing like a hawk spotting prey. She sidled up to Sarah, possessive arm looping around her waist, and sized Madison up with a once-over that dripped disdain. "Darling, who's this? She looks like she wandered in from a protest march." The bridesmaids tittered, champagne flutes tinkling like conspirators. Madison flushed, her flannel shirt suddenly too warm, her scuffed boots too loud against the Persian rugs.
"I'm
family," she managed, voice barely above the murmur. "Lost family." Emily's laugh rang out again, brittle and bright, drawing heads from across the room. "Lost family? Oh, sweetie, this is a wedding, not a lost and found. And that haircut?
bold choice."
Trying to make a statement, or just auditioning for the next season of that gay girl reality show? The word gay twisted on her tongue, laced with mockery that made Madison's stomach churn. Whispers rippled through the crowd. Did she say gay? At Sarah's wedding? And Madison felt exposed, her queerness laid bare like an open wound. She'd come for reunion, not ridicule, but Emily's barb struck deep, echoing the taunts of foster siblings, the sideways glances in high school hallways. Sarah frowned, touching Emily's arm. That's not." But Emily waved her off, eyes gleaming with the thrill of the takedown. "Come on, Sarah's told me all about her adventurous past. We don't need any drama queens crashing the vibe. Run along, gay girl. This party's for the lovers, not the loners." The nickname stuck like tar, and Madison's vision blurred with hot tears she refused to let fall. She backed away, the photo crumpling in her fist, the ballroom spinning into a kaleidoscope of judgmental faces. How had she thought this could end in hugs and tears? She was the intruder, the ghost who didn't belong in this glittering world. Stumbling into the adjoining lounge, Madison collapsed onto a velvet chaise, the city lights blurring through rain-streaked windows. Her phone buzzed, a text from her bar shift boss. "Where are you? Need you tonight." But she couldn't move, couldn't breathe past the lump in her throat. 20 years of searching, of clinging to scraps of memory, reduced to a punchline. And Sarah, God, Sarah, had just stood there, her silence louder than any scream. Little did Emily know, as she preened for photos with her oblivious fiancé, that the gay girl she'd just eviscerated held the key to Sarah's deepest scar. The river hadn't just taken a sister, it had hollowed out a family, leaving Sarah to build walls around her heart, mistaking Emily's sharp edges for strength. But walls crumble, and secrets, like rivers, always find their way home. As the cocktail hour bled into dinner, Madison nursed a stolen glass of wine in the shadows, watching the procession of toasts and dances from afar. The band struck up a slow jazz number, and couples swayed under the chandeliers, their bodies entwined in promises Madison had long stopped believing in. She thought of Alex, the barista from her coffee shop back home, the one with the tattooed arms and easy smile who'd slipped her number on a napkin last week. "Call me when you're ready to stop running," Alex had said, her voice a lifeline Madison wasn't sure she deserved. But tonight, alone in this sea of strangers, the ache for connection clawed at her ribs. A shadow fell across her table, and she looked up to find a woman in a sleek black pantsuit, holding 2 fresh glasses of wine. Mid-30s, with cropped silver-streaked hair and eyes like smoked quartz, she exuded a quiet confidence that made Madison's pulse stutter. "Rough night?" the woman asked, sliding into the seat opposite. Her name, she introduced, was Jordan, Sarah's college roommate, now a therapist in Evanston. "I saw what happened. Emily can be intense.
But you?
You look like you've got a story worth hearing." Madison hesitated, the wine warming her veins, loosening the knot in her chest. For the first time that evening, someone saw her, not as the punchline, but as the woman who'd survived floods and foster care, who'd carved a life from the wreckage. They talked, words tumbling like rain, about lost siblings, hidden loves, the quiet terror of showing up anyway. Jordan's hand brushed hers across the table, a spark that ignited something dormant, something hopeful. Laughter came next, tentative at first, then free, as Jordan shared tales of Sarah's wilder days, the midnight road trips, the manifestos scrawled on dorm walls. But the evening's undercurrent pulled taut. Whispers reached them, that girl's causing a scene, and Madison's resolve hardened. She couldn't leave without trying again. Excusing herself, she wove back into the fray, the photo now smoothed in her palm like a shield. The cake cutting was underway, Emily's knife slicing through tiers of fondant with gleeful precision. Sarah clapped along, but her eyes darted to the edges of the room, as if sensing the storm brewing. Madison stepped forward, voice steady despite the tremor in her limbs. Sarah Kensington. Age 10. Favorite color green. Scared of thunderstorms, but loved chasing fireflies. We promised to always find each other. The room hushed, forks pausing midair. Sarah's face drained of color, the knife slipping from her fingers with a clatter. Emily whirled, her triumph curdling to confusion. What the hell is this now? Sarah crossed the floor in a rustle of silk, snatching the photo with hands that shook. Her breath hitched, eyes tracing the faded lines, the river, the tree, the girls. Maddie?
Oh God, Maddie.
The name unlocked it all. The searches that yielded nothing, the therapy sessions where grief masqueraded as anger, the way she'd thrown herself into work and Emily to outrun the void. They collided in a hug that defied gravity, sobs mingling with the faint applause of stunned guests. Sisters, reclaimed in the heart of a celebration turned revelation. Emily stood frozen, the cake knife forgotten, her mockery replaying in her mind like a looped nightmare. The woman she dismissed as a gay girl was no interloper. She was blood, the missing piece Sarah had mourned in silence. Guilt twisted in her gut, sharp as the shards from that earlier glass. As Sarah pulled back, wiping tears with the hem of her gown, she turned to Emily, eyes pleading for understanding. This is my sister. My little sister.
She's
everything. The reception fractured then, guests murmuring into phones, the band faltering into silence. Emily forced a smile, brittle as spun sugar, congratulating the reunion while her world tilted. How could she have been so blind, so cruel? In the powder room later, she stared at her reflection, the red lipstick smudged like a wound. Sarah deserved better, deserved truth, not this facade of perfection laced with prejudice. Meanwhile, Madison and Sarah retreated to a quiet balcony overlooking the Chicago River, the same waters that had torn them apart now glittering like absolution. They talked for hours, piecing together lost years. Madison's foster odyssey, Sarah's relentless searches, the letters sent to dead-end addresses. I thought you were gone forever, Sarah whispered, clutching Madison's hand. I built this life to forget, but it was all hollow without you. As dawn crept over the skyline, Madison felt the first stirrings of home, not the house by the river, but this, the fierce love of a sister who never stopped looking. Jordan found them there, her presence a gentle anchor, and in her gaze, Madison saw possibility, a love unmarred by loss, tender and real. But Emily's reckoning was just beginning. Slipping away from the dispersing crowd, she wandered the hotel corridors, her gown trailing like a ghost. The weight of her words pressed down, forcing her to confront the shadows she'd cast over her own heart. Raised in a suburb where different was a dirty word, she'd armored herself with barbs, even as she fell for Sarah's quiet rebellion. Marrying her was rebellion too, but mocking Madison? That was fear, pure and poisonous. She found them on the balcony, the three women silhouetted against the rising sun. Sarah's arm around Madison, Jordan's hand on Madison's shoulder, a tableau of connection that Emily had nearly shattered. I owe you an apology, she said, voice small in the vast morning. Madison met her eyes, not with anger, but with the weary grace of survival. Words hurt, Emily. But family? That's harder to break. In the days that followed, the wedding dissolved, not with fury, but with quiet clarity. Sarah postponed, needing space to weave Madison back into her tapestry. Emily checked into therapy, unraveling the threads of internalized hate, emerging raw but renewed. And Madison? She stayed in Chicago, crashing on Sarah's couch, her guitar finding new melodies in the skyline's hum. It was during a rainy afternoon in Grant Park that Madison and Jordan's spark ignited fully. They shared a bench under a dripping oak, much like the one from childhood memories, and Jordan's kiss was soft thunder, accepting, alive. "I've waited for someone like you," Jordan murmured, her fingers tracing Madison's jaw. "The kind who shows up, broken but brave." Their love unfolded like the city itself, gritty walks along the lakefront, stolen nights in Jordan's cozy brownstone, arguments over takeout that ended in laughter. Madison's songs turned from lament to anthem, her bar gigs drawing crowds who saw in her the reflection of their own quiet revolutions. Sarah watched it bloom, her own heart mending as she and Emily navigated therapy's minefield, learning to love without the crutch of cruelty. One crisp October evening, a year to the day after the shattered flute, they gathered by the Fox River's calmer bend, Sarah, Madison, Jordan, and a humbled Emily, her hand tentatively in Sarah's. No vows this time, just a picnic under fireflies, the photo uncrumpled on the blanket. To found things, Sarah toasted, glasses clinking. Madison leaned into Jordan, the rivers whisper a lullaby of second chances. In that moment, Madison understood. Love wasn't the absence of loss, but the courage to dive back in. Sisters reunited, hearts reclaimed, the gay girl no longer mocked, but cherished. And in America's heartland, where rivers carve canyons and rain washes clean, they built a legacy of grace, one unapologetic embrace at a time. The autumn leaves crunched under Madison's boots as she and Jordan strolled through Lincoln Park the following weekend, the air crisp with the promise of change. Chicago had wrapped its windy arms around her in ways Milwaukee never could. Neighborhoods alive with murals of queer icons, cafes where baristas knew your coffee order and your coming-out story. Jordan, with her therapist's intuition and artist's soul, had become the map to it all, her silver-streaked hair catching the sunlight like threads of wisdom. "You know, I almost didn't come to that wedding," Jordan confessed, linking arms as they paused by the conservatory's glass domes. "Sarah's been my rock since college, but Emily, she always rubbed me the wrong way. Too much sparkle, not enough substance." Madison nodded, the memory of that mocking laugh still a faint sting, like a paper cut that wouldn't heal. "It makes sense now. She was scared of me, of what I represented. The messy parts of queerness she could pretend didn't exist." Jordan squeezed her arm, her touch grounding. "And you?" "Scared of showing up." Madison hesitated, gazing at the exotic blooms inside, orchids unfurling in defiant pinks and purples. Every day. But losing Sarah twice? That wasn't an option. Their conversation flowed into deeper waters. Madison's first love, a foster sister who'd vanished into juvie, Jordan's divorce from a man who'd never understood her fluidity. Vulnerability bound them, turning strangers into confidants, then lovers. Back at Jordan's apartment that night, over homemade lasagna and a bottle of Chianti, the intimacy deepened. The space was a haven of mid-century modern, velvet couches, bookshelves groaning with Audre Lorde and James Baldwin, a turntable spinning Nina Simone's Velvet Lament. As rain pattered against the windows, Jordan pulled Madison close, their kisses slow and exploratory, mapping scars and sighs. "You're home now," Jordan whispered, her breath warm against Madison's neck. For the first time, Madison believed it. Across town, Sarah paced her sleek River North loft, the city lights casting long shadows on minimalist walls. Emily sat cross-legged on the rug, a half-empty mug of chamomile cooling in her hands. Therapy had cracked them open, sessions where Emily admitted the poison of her upbringing, the way her mother's church sermons equated love like theirs with sin. I thought if I was the good kind of gay, the one in pearls and power suits, I could escape it, Emily said, voice raw. But mocking Madison? That was me lashing out at my own ghost. Sarah knelt beside her, tracing the lines of Emily's face, the woman she'd fallen for amid gala lights and late-night blueprints. We can rebuild, Em. But it starts with truth. No more hiding. They cried then, messy and real, the kind of tears that fertilize fragile ground. Sarah thought of Madison, safe with Jordan, and a smile tugged at her lips. Her little sister, the firefly chaser, finding wings again. The next morning brought an unexpected call. The family cousin who'd tipped Madison off, now insisting on a full reunion. Your parents, they never stopped looking, the voice crackled over the line. They're in a nursing home in Madison, Wisconsin. Frail, but hopeful. Sarah's world tilted anew. Parents.
Alive.
The flood hadn't claimed everything, just buried it deep. She drove north that afternoon, Emily in the passenger seat, her hand a tentative anchor on Sarah's knee. Madison met them at a roadside diner just outside the city limits, Jordan trailing with coffee to go. The reunion was a quiet detonation, two elderly faces, etched with time's relentless hand, crumpling at the sight of their daughters. My girls, their mother whispered, arthritic fingers clutching photos from another era. Their father, silent tears carving paths down weathered cheeks, pulled Madison into an embrace that smelled of pipe tobacco and regret. Stories spilled like the diner's bottomless coffee, the endless searches, the private detectives, the holidays haunted by empty chairs. We thought the river took you both, their father murmured to Madison. But here you are, strong as the oaks we planted. Emily hung back at first, outsider in this circle of blood, but when their mother turned kind eyes her way. And you, dear? The one who makes Sarah smile like sunlight. Something in Emily softened. She joined the huddle, her apology to Madison murmured low. I was wrong. About you, about us. Let me make it right. The drive back was cathartic, laughter mingling with sobs as they planned Thanksgivings and holidays long deferred. Madison's phone lit up with Alex's number from Milwaukee, a polite, hope you're good, text she deleted without reply. Jordan was her now, solid and sure, their evenings filled with jazz clubs in Wicker Park, where Madison's guitar duet with Jordan's harmonica in smoky harmony. Yet shadows lingered. Emily's family, staunch Catholics from the Gold Coast, caught wind of the scandal, the postponed wedding, the troublemaker sister. Invitations to holiday dinners dried up, replaced by frosty voicemails laced with Bible verses. Emily crumbled one night, alone in the loft while Sarah sketched late. They think I'm damned, she sobbed into the phone to her therapist. And part of me still wonders if they're right. Sarah found her curled on the bathroom floor, mascara streaked and shattered. You're not damned, Em. You're human. And loved. They spent the night talking, really talking, for the first time without the buffer of champagne or small talk. Emily confessed her deepest fear, that her barbs weren't just habit, but a wall against the vulnerability of loving a woman in a world that still whispered freak. Sarah listened, then shared her own. The river's theft had made her cling too tight, mistaking control for love. In the aftermath, they committed to change. Couples counseling, pride marches hand in hand, Emily volunteering at a local LGBTQ shelter where Madison sometimes strummed for the youth. Watching her future sister-in-law, the word felt right now, mentor scared teens, Emily felt the stirrings of pride, real and unfeigned. Madison's life, too, bloomed. She landed a gig songwriting for a queer indie band, her lyrics weaving tales of rivers and reunions that resonated in dive bars from Pilsen to Andersonville. Jordan proposed collaboration on a podcast, Lost and Found. Queer journeys, interviews with survivors of family rifts, their voices a chorus of resilience. Recording in Jordan's sunlit studio, Madison would pause mid-sentence, struck by how far she'd come, from foster kid to family anchor, from mocked outsider to beloved. Winter descended with its first snow, blanketing Chicago in hush. The four of them, Sarah, Emily, Madison, Jordan, gathered for a makeshift solstice dinner in the loft, fairy lights twinkling against frost-laced windows. Toasts were made to the river, to fireflies, to the gay girls who refused to fade. As midnight chimed, Emily pulled Madison aside, a small box in her palm. Inside, a delicate silver bracelet etched with an oak leaf. "For the castle," Emily said, fastening it on. "And for forgiving fools like me." Madison hugged her, the embrace fierce and forgiving. In that moment, the bride who'd mocked her wasn't a villain, but a woman learning to unlearn hate, a mirror to them all. Spring thawed the ice, bringing cherry blossoms to the parks and a renewed wedding date. June, under that same grand ballroom chandeliers, but with open arms. Invitations went out to the extended family, the parents from Wisconsin, the cousin who'd bridged the gap, even Emily's reluctant siblings, coaxed by her raw letter of truth. Madison stood as best woman, Jordan at her side in a tailored vest that accentuated her broad shoulders. As Sarah walked the aisle, eyes locked on Emily, transformed in a gown of soft lavender, her smile genuine, unguarded, the quartet played a melody Madison had written, verses of loss giving way to harmony. Vows exchanged, rings slipped on with trembling hands, the kiss sealed not just a union, but a mending. Madison's eyes misted as confetti rained, Jordan's arm a steady warmth. Later, on the dance floor, sisters swayed to an old standard, whispering dreams for the years ahead, adoptions, travels, a house by a gentler river. Emily caught Madison's eye across the crowd, raising her glass in silent thanks. The gay girl she'd once scorned was now the heart of it all, her presence a testament to love's quiet revolution. And in America's bustling core, where winters bite but springs always return, they danced into forever, whole, unmocked, unbreakable. Yet even as the wedding's echoes faded, Madison felt the undercurrents of unfinished business. The river, that capricious thief, had given back her family but left ripples of doubt. Late nights, when Jordan slept soundly beside her, Madison would slip to the fire escape, guitar in lap, strumming minor chords that evoked the fox's murky depths. One such melody birthed Oaken Ghosts, a ballad about promises kept and the cost of survival, a hit at her next open mic, drawing scouts from Chicago's folk circuit. Jordan noticed the shadows under her eyes, the way Madison's laughter sometimes rang hollow. "Talk to me," she'd urge over breakfast burritos at and Sather's, cinnamon rolls steaming between them. Madison confessed it all. The foster homes where affection was currency, the first girl she'd loved who chose safety over her, the terror that this happiness was borrowed, soon to be swept away. "You're not that girl anymore," Jordan said firmly, her quartz eyes unyielding. "You're the woman who crashed a wedding and claimed her throne." To prove it, she planned a road trip, tracing the Fox River's path, a pilgrimage of reclamation. They packed Jordan's old Jeep with coolers of craft beer and playlists of queer anthems, hitting the road as summer hummed. The drive was therapy on wheels, stops at quirky diners where waitresses with pride pins shared stories, hikes through oak groves where Madison scattered petals from a childhood sketch. At the river's bend, the exact spot of the flood, they stood ankle-deep in shallows, water cool against skin. "I let go here," Madison said, releasing a paper boat inscribed with old fears. Jordan kissed her temple, the current carrying it downstream like absolution. Back in the city, Emily's transformation accelerated. She'd launched a boutique line, Oak and River, clothing for queer women that blended high fashion with subtle activism, rainbow-threaded hems, tags quoting Audre Lorde. The launch party in her flagship store on Michigan Avenue was a triumph, models striding runways and empowering ensembles, Madison providing live music that had the crowd swaying. Sarah beamed from the front row, her hand in Emily's, pride swelling as Emily took the mic. "This is for the girls we mocked, the loves we feared, to the women who teach us grace." The words landed like grace notes, and Madison, mid-chorus, felt tears prick. Emily had crossed the chasm, her apology evolving into allyship. Later, over champagne toasts, Emily pulled her aside. "I want you in the next collection. Your story, it's the thread that binds it." Madison agreed, posing for a campaign shoot in the Oak Grove, her flannel and boots a defiant contrast to silk. Sarah and Emily's marriage settled into rhythm. Mornings of shared blueprints and lattes, evenings of board games with Madison and Jordan. But cracks tested them. A heated argument over Emily's long hours, Sarah's lingering resentment from the wedding fiasco. "You almost cost me my sister," Sarah exploded one night, glasses shattering anew. Emily didn't flee. She stayed, unpacking the hurt until dawn, their reconciliation sealed with a vow to fight fair. Madison's podcast with Jordan took off, episodes featuring voices like a trans elder from the Stonewall era, a young Latina navigating family rejection. Recording in the brownstone, microphones capturing raw truths, Madison found her calling, not just survivor, but storyteller. Fans emailed testimonies, one from a teen in rural Illinois. "Your voice made me brave enough to come out." It humbled her, this ripple effect, turning personal pain into communal power. Fall brought the family gathering in Wisconsin. Parents' anniversary, a lakeside cabin rented for the occasion. Laughter echoed off pines as they roasted marshmallows, stories weaving past and present. Madison's father taught her fly fishing, his gnarled hands guiding hers. "Patience, Maddie. The river gives when it's ready." Her mother shared recipe cards yellowed with age, lavender soap scent clinging to her apron. Emily, once the outsider, baked pies with surprising skill, earning nods of approval. "Your family now," their mother said simply, and Emily's eyes welled. Jordan fit seamlessly, her therapist insights diffusing old tensions, her humor lightening heavy air. That night, under a blanket of stars, she and Madison slipped away to the dock, feet dangling in black water. "Marry me?" Jordan asked, a simple band glinting in moonlight, not diamond flash, but forged steel, enduring. Madison's yes was a whisper carried on wind, their kiss tasting of lake and forever. Word spread. Engagements announced over Thanksgiving turkey, plans for a small ceremony by the Oaks. Emily designed their outfits, flowing linens in earth tones, subtle engravings of rivers. Sarah officiated, her voice steady as she bound their hands. "In loss, you found each other. May your love be the current that carries you." Winter holidays blended traditions. Hanukkah candles with Jordan's Jewish roots, Christmas lights tangled with queer carols. Madison's songs filled the loft, a new album brewing, River Song. Tracks of redemption that landed her a deal with a small label. Gigs packed houses, fans chanting lyrics born of her scars. But life, like the river, twisted unexpectedly. Emily discovered she was pregnant, via donor, a dream they'd whispered about in therapy's afterglow. The news hit like joyful lightning, ultrasounds shared over brunch, nursery sketches on Sarah's drafting table. Madison, aunt-to-be, cooed over sonograms, her bond with Emily forging in this miracle. Spring birthed the baby, a girl, River Elaine, tiny fists waving like flags of surrender. Madison held her first, whispering firefly promises, Jordan's arm around them both. The world narrowed to this. Family, fluid and fierce, defying the floods that tried to tear it apart. Years blurred into legacy. River grew toddling through parks, chasing siblings yet unborn. Madison's music charted indie waves, her podcast a beacon. Emily's line expanded nationally, billboards proclaiming, "We're your story." Sarah's firm designed community centers for queer youth, bricks laid with intention. One golden afternoon, back at the grand ballroom for River's baptism, not religious, but a circle of chosen kin, Madison watched Emily lift her daughter high, laughter free of shadows. The bride who'd once mocked had become matriarch, her growth a testament to love's alchemy. As confetti fell anew, Madison pulled Jordan close, their rings catching light. The gay girl, once lost, had found not just sisters, but a symphony of souls. In America's beating heart, where rivers run deep and oaks stand tall, they thrived, unbroken, unmocked, eternally found. The baptism's afterglow lingered like summer wine, but Madison's path veered into uncharted waters when her album dropped. River Song climbed streaming charts, its lead single, a haunting duet with Jordan on harmonica, going viral on TikTok, where teens lip-synced lines about reclaimed ghosts. Suddenly, interviews beckoned, NPR spots, podcasts with queer icons, even a TEDx talk on resilience. Madison, thrust from bar stools to spotlights, felt the vertigo of visibility. Jordan grounded her, mornings spent journaling intentions over oat milk lattes. Fame's just another river, she'd say. Navigate, don't drown. Their wedding planning wove through it, vows penned in stolen moments, floral scouts in Michigan's Up, where Jordan's family cabin stood sentinel. Emily, ever the entrepreneur, saw synergy, a River Song capsule collection, proceeds to flood relief charities. The collaboration bonded them further, late nights at the studio where River napped in a playpen, babbling to fabric swatches. "You're the cool aunt," Emily teased, handing Madison a onesie embroidered with an oak. Sarah sketched logos, her architectural eye infusing designs with organic flow. Family dynamics deepened. Madison's parents relocated to a Chicago suburb, their bungalow a hub for Sunday suppers, pot roast and stories, River tugging at Granddad's suspenders. The River scar faded to a faint line, conversations turning to legacies, scholarships in Madison's name for foster kids, a foundation Emily spearheaded for queer family preservation. Yet doubt crept in Madison's quiet hours. A scathing review called her sentimental slop, echoing Emily's old barbs. She spiraled, canceling a gig, holing up with guitar and ghosts. Jordan found her on the fire escape, rain-soaked and small. "I'm a fraud," Madison choked. "Just a girl who got lucky." Jordan knelt, cupping her face. "Luck. You clawed your way here. That's authenticity, not fraud." They made love that night, slow and affirming, bodies a map of mutual salvation. Morning brought clarity. Madison channeled the hurt into a new track, mocked melodies, a fierce anthem that topped the review's backlash. Sarah noticed the shift, pulling her sister for a lakefront walk. "Emily and I, we're trying again," she confided, hand on a subtle bump, "baby too. But it's you who taught us forgiveness starts within." Madison hugged her, the wind off Lake Michigan carrying away remnants of old pains. Jordan's proposals echo rippled into their ceremony, a June solstice under ancient oaks in Indiana dunes, barefoot guests in wildflowers. Vows exchanged amid dune grass, rings exchanged with river pebbles embedded. "I choose you, through floods and fireflies," Madison said, voice carrying on breeze. Jordan's response, "And I you, in every current and calm." The reception was potluck poetry, Jordan's mom's kugel, Emily's artisanal cheeses, Madison's playlist spinning vinyl. River danced in toddler glee, Sarah and Emily slow dancing with baby bellies brushing. Toasts flowed, parents' teary pride, Emily's eloquent nod to redemption. "Madison, you didn't just return. You remade us." Honeymoon in the Smokies brought respite. Cabins with porches for stargazing, hikes where Madison sketched lyrics on napkins. Jordan's fluidity shone. Days of flannel-clad trails, nights of silk sheet whispers. They returned renewed, Madison diving into tour prep, Jordan expanding her practice to include artist wellness. Emily's pregnancy progressed with ultrasounds, a boy this time, Oak Thomas. Labor came fierce in August heat, Sarah coaching through contractions, Madison and Jordan pacing the waiting room with River. When Oak arrived, squalling and perfect, Emily held him first, tears mixing with sweat. "Our family," she breathed, passing him to Sarah. Madison cradled him next, tiny fingers gripping hers, a cycle complete. The addition stretched them, sleep-deprived but sublime. Madison babysat during Emily's recovery, Oak's coos inspiring lullabies. Jordan facilitated family therapy sessions, turning potential chaos into harmony. Holidays amplified, Hanukkah lax with Christmas ham, River and Oak decorating a queer tree with rainbow ornaments and tiny guitars. Madison's tour kicked off in fall, coast to coast, sold-out venues from Seattle coffee houses to NYC lofts. Jordan joined for stretches, their hotel nights a tour of American queerness, pride flags in every diner, lovers' hands intertwined in every crowd. Back home, fan letters piled. "Your music saved my marriage. I came out because of Oak and Ghosts." A curveball came mid-tour, a documentary offer on the wedding crash, pitched as redemption reels. Madison balked, too raw, too exposing. Emily, now a media-savvy mom, mediated. Own the narrative. Turn mockery into manifesto. With Sarah's encouragement, Madison agreed, filming sessions in the loft, raw footage of River visits, family dinners, Emily's candid apology on camera. The doc premiered at Tribeca, critics hailing it a queer odyssey of grace. Awards followed, but Madison cherished a note from the rural teen. "Saw the film. Told my folks. They cried with me." Winter brought their first anniversary, a vow renewal by the Fox, parents hosting a bonfire. River, for now, recited a poem. Oak, 6 months, gummed a firefly lantern. Emily toasted. To brides who learn, sisters who return. Laughter rang, stars winking approval. Spring unfurled with Emily's line going global, pop-ups in London and LA. Madison collaborated on a soundtrack for a queer rom-com, her voiceover narrating arcs of found family. Jordan published a book, Currents of Connection. Case studies anonymized but laced with their story. Summer solstice marked 5 years since the crash. A picnic redux, blankets spread under oaks. Generations mingled, grandparents spinning yarns, kids chasing lights. Madison strummed as dusk fell, song a tapestry of trials turned triumphs. In that circle, the mocked bride and gay girl stood arm in arm, legacies entwined. Love, they'd learned, wasn't linear, a river, meandering but mighty, carving canyons of compassion. And in its flow, they all found home. As the documentary's buzz crested, Madison grappled with the double-edged sword of story. Public adoration brought book deals, keynotes at women's marches, but privacy eroded like riverbanks. Paparazzi lurked outside the brownstone, fans accosting at playgrounds where River swung higher each push. "Is it true about the wedding?" they'd whisper, turning sacred scars into spectacle. Jordan advocated boundaries, a publicist for curated shares, therapy for processing exposure. "Your story's yours first," she'd affirm, their evenings now ritual, tea on the fire escape, dissecting headlines over herbal steam. Madison leaned in, channeling intrusion into art, a concept album, exposed echoes, tracks dissecting voyeurism through folk electronica fusion. Sarah and Emily navigated parallel storms. Oak's christening drew tabloid interest, Eris's rainbow brood, but Emily spun it into advocacy, partnering with GLAAD for family visibility campaigns. Sarah's firm boomed, green-certified builds for LGBTQ centers dotting skylines from Boston to Portland. Home life balanced, carpools with playdates, date nights at hidden speakeasies where Emily's, which shone unfiltered. Madison's parents thrived in their golden years, volunteering at senior pride groups, their letters to newspapers defending our daughter's loves. A joint memoir brewed, from flood to family, ghost-written sessions filled with laughter and lacrimae. Jordan's book launch packed a Boystown bookstore, Madison emceeing with anecdotes that had bellies aching. Sales soared, endorsements from Oprah's book club variant. Their practice expanded, group sessions for queer artists unpacking imposter syndrome, Madison guest facilitating, her vulnerability a masterclass. A family crisis tested waters. Madison's father diagnosed with early dementia, memories flickering like faulty bulbs. The clan rallied, Emily organizing care teams, Sarah retrofitting the bungalow for accessibility, Jordan leading support circles. Madison composed Fading Oaks, a tribute ballad performed at a benefit concert, proceeds funding memory clinics. On stage, voice cracking over verses of cherished tales, she honored the man who taught patience, the river's reluctant gift. Healing came in layers. Summer brought a retreat to the Up cabin, grandkids romping in loons' calls, adults kayaking sun-dappled lakes. Emily, pregnant again, confided fears of legacy. Will they know the old me, the one who hurt? Madison, floating beside her, replied, they'll know the you who grew. That's the real inheritance. Labor for the third, Willow Grace, unfolded in harvest moon glow, a home birth with midwives and loved ones. Madison coached breathing, Jordan monitored vitals, Sarah snapping photos. Willow's cry harmonized with rustling leaves, a quartet complete. Emily, exhausted radiant, quipped, one for each season. We're building an empire. Parenting amplified joys, chaos of sippy cups and story hours, Madison's tours abbreviated for t-ball games. Jordan adapted sessions to hybrid, freeing weekends for dune picnics. Holidays evolved, Passover seders blending with Diwali lights, River directing the pageant in crown of construction paper. Madison's album dropped to acclaim, Grammy nods whispering. Tour life balanced with FaceTime lullabies, Jordan joining for festival sets where they duet under stage-side stars. Backstage, Emily surprised with merch drops, River song, tease on Willow's tiny frame. A pivotal interview with The Atlantic probed the wedding's crux. Redemption isn't linear, Madison said, camera capturing candor. Emily's growth? It's the human story. Fall, rise, repeat. Clips went viral, Emily retweeting with proud then, prouder now. Fall foliage framed their second anniversary, a vow refresh at the dunes, kids building sandcastles as witnesses. Through spotlights and shadows, Jordan pledged. Madison echoed, your hand in mine, always the anchor. Winter solstice brought a surprise. Madison's pregnancy, via donor and IVF, a leap discussed in candlelit whispers. Nausea hit like waves, but ultrasounds revealed twins, boys due spring. News rippled joy, Sarah designing a nursery extension, Emily curating organic layouts, parents knitting booties with arthritic resolve. The doc's sequel pitched, Echoes of Empire, chronicling expansions. Madison directed, insisting on consent for family cameos. Filming captured rawness. Oak's first steps toward Madison's guitar, River's school play as a firefly queen. Spring birthed the twins, Finn and Theo, squirming bundles of fury and fuss. Labor marathon tested, Jordan's come a lifeline, Emily arriving post-placenta with Willow in tow. Anti-army reporting, she joked, passing burp cloths. Sarah captured the chaos in time-lapse, a symphony of new life. Quadruple parenting stretched sinews, tag team feedings, nap synchronies, laughter amid meltdowns. Madison's postpartum haze lifted in melody, co-writing with Jordan a children's album, Little Rivers, nursery rhymes of diversity. Emily's empire grew, a foundation for queer foster reform, lobbying in D.C. Madison testified, voice steady on Capitol Hill, I was the lost girl. Don't let others be. Bills budged, headlines hailed, singers' sisterhood saves. Summer festivals pulsed with family cameos, River on tambourine, Oak waving maracas. Jordan's TED Talk, Love's therapeutic flow, weave their tapestry, views exploding. As leaves turned, Madison reflected on the bride's mockery, a catalyst, not curse. Emily, now matron of multitudes, confided over wine, "You freed me from myself." Their toast, to mocked beginnings, meaningful middles. In autumn's embrace, families fused, rivers merging, oaks enduring. The gay girl's arrival had mocked no more, it had midwifed miracles, a legacy of love unbound. Twin infancy blurred days into a haze of diapers and dawn chorus, but Madison's resolve sharpened. She channeled exhaustion into advocacy, partnering with Emily on the foster bill, lobby days in Springfield, testimonies that moved lawmakers to tears. "This isn't politics," Madison urged a committee, Finn asleep against her chest. "It's preventing another me, alone, unseen." Victories mounted, funding for trauma-informed care, mentorship mandates. Emily's foundation ballooned, satellites in Milwaukee and Madison, nod to roots. Sarah's designs housed them, safe havens with river views, playrooms echoing childhood castles. Jordan thrived in the tumult, her practice a sanctuary for new parents, groups where Madison facilitated song circles, lullabies lulling calla cries. Their book sequel, Currents Continued, delved into multiplicity, sales funding scholarships. Grandparents doted, Madison's father, dementia advancing, lit at Finn's gurgles, reciting fishing fables. Mother baked weekly, lavender scones a sensory anchor. River, big sister supreme, narrated adventures to the twins, Willow her pint-sized lieutenant. A scare jolted, Jordan's routine check revealed a shadow on her lung. Benign, but biopsies wait a gauntlet. Madison canceled shows, families circling wagons, Emily meal prepping, Sarah building a meditation nook. Results clear, relief flooded, but it forged fiercer gratitude. Jordan's essay, Shadows and Song, went viral, reframing fear as fortitude. Post-Twin Haze, Madison's solo tour reignited. Nanny shifted weeks, Jordan road managing. Venues brimmed, Austin's queer fests, Vancouver's folk dens. Back home, Emily hosted Empire Nights, board games with blueprints, where Willow sketched empires of her own. Holiday Hullabaloo peaked, a fusion fest blending solstice logs with Canara candles, kids in multicultural garb. River's monologue on family floods stole hearts, Theo's toothless grin sealing applause. Spring seminars beckoned, Madison keynoting at Yale's Queer Studies, Jordan co-presenting. Ivy Halls absorbed their narrative, crash to chorus, students mobbing for selfies, one confiding, "Your doc got me through conversion camp." Emily's fourth pregnancy announcement, surprise at a foundation gala, sparked cheers. Last hurrah, she winked hand on belly. Labor in lilac bloom birth sage, a serene soul who latched like destiny. Nursery overflowed, Sarah's extension of village within walls. Madison's memoir deal sealed, mocked to matriarch, ghosted by a dyke wordsmith. Chapters poured, river rapture, wedding wreckage, love's lattice. Advance bought a lakeside cottage, retreat for writing and waves. Twins' first birthday splashed in sun, Lakeshore bash, Jordan grilling, Emily's cakes towering. River officiated vows, with rings of daisies, Oak and Willow cheering. As cake smeared faces, Madison caught Emily's eye, silent nod of sisters-in-law, forged in fire. Summer sabbatical at the cottage healed, kayaks with kids, bonfires with ballads. Jordan proposed expansions, a family podcast, River Rhythms. Pilot episodes crackled, River interviewing grandparents, twins babbling backup. Fall foliage framed tours, Madison headlining Lilith Fair revival, Jordan stage side. Crowds chanted Gay Girl Anthem, a track born of Emily's slight, now empowerment echo. A media storm brewed, tabloid dredging the wedding, twisting redemption to rivalry. Emily lawyered up, Madison blogged transparency. Truth over trash. Backlash boomeranged, doc streams surging, foundation donations doubling. Winter whispered farewells. Madison's father slipped quietly, surrounded by song. Madison's guitar serenading to sleep. Eulogy at the river bend. Ashes scattered with fireflies glow. Grief wove new threads, family tighter in tapestry. Spring's renewal. Memorial oak planted, plaque etched, patience's promise. Sage's christening circled kin, Willow reciting dad's fables. Emily's speech. He taught us flow, through loss to love. Madison's memoir launched to acclaim, signings swamped by survivors. One fan hugged, "Your words were my lifeboat." Royalties seeded a fisherman's fund for elder care. Jordan's promotion to department head celebrated with dune dance, kids conga lining sand. Their intimacy deepened. Parenting's forged tempering passion. Weekends whisked to BNBS for reacquaintance. As leaves goldened, the clan convened for Founders' Day, Foundation's anniversary picnic. River, 8, emceed, twins toddling tributes. Emily, ever evolving, unveiled a sculpture. Intertwined oaks, rivers running, caption from mockery to monument. Madison strummed finale, voice soaring. We rose from the rush, roots entwined. Applause thundered, but in her heart, the true ovation was this. Family, flawed and full, a testament to tenacity's tide. Grief's undertow pulled subtle after the memorial, Madison finding solace in the cottage's quiet, waves lapping like lullabies, twins napping to Loon's lament. Jordan joined weekends, their grief shared in hikes and haikus, turning sorrow to sonnets. He lives in the patience you strum, she'd say, fingers plucking strings beside hers. The foundation's growth demanded more, Emily spearheading national chapters, Madison ambassadoring with acoustic sets at openings. One in New Orleans, post-Katrina rebuild, drew parallels to her flood, performance under live oaks a catharsis. Locals swapped survivor tales, a Zydeco jam birthing collaborations. Sarah's portfolio swelled, a queer archive in San Francisco, glass walls whispering welcomes. Family vacations synced, cross-country train, kids wide-eyed at canyons, Madison narrating, rivers of America like bardic lore. River School Project, My Aunt's Adventure, went viral, crayon chronicle of wedding woes to wonder. Teachers praised, but it's spotlighted again, a Netflix series pitched, Sister Surge. Madison greenlit cautiously, insisting creative control. Script reads with Emily's edge, Jordan's psychology. Filming frenzy hit. Location shoots at the river. Reenactments raw but redemptive. Kids cameoed. Willow stealing scenes as Mini Emily. Premiere party in the loft. Cheers drowning critiques. Too tidy. With toasts to truth's mess. Twins' terrible twos tested. Tantrums timed to tour calls. Madison missing Theo's first word, song. Via video. Guilt nod, balanced by Jordan's Village. Emily hosting Twin Tuesdays with Sage as sous chef. Jordan's sabbatical yielded a novel. Quartz Currents fictionalized their arc, publisher's bidding. Launch tour overlapped Madison's, duo readings packing houses. Prose and poetry, love's duet. Emily's empire pivoted. Sustainable lines from recycled riverside fabrics, pop-ups funding cleanups. Willow, 6, modeled junior collection, strutting with sass that echoed mom's old spark, honed now to shine. A health hiccup for Sarah, benign tumor, swift surgery, rallied all. Madison canceling dates, Emily bedside vigils, kids drawing super aunt cards. Recovery river retreat mended, Sage's gurgles the bomb. Holidays hybrid, virtual kin from coasts, in-person feasts with fusion flair, lax in gumbo broth. River's bar mitzvah prep, Jordan's tradition, wove Hebrew with hymns, Madison composing a cantorial closer. Spring-birthed book tours, Madison sequel, Echoes Endure, Memoirs Coda, chapters on fatherhood's flood. Signings swelled with dads groups, one confessing, "Your loss lit my coming out." Emily's fifth, final, pregnancy announced at a gala, boy en route. Labor in lotus bloom yielded Linden, a lungful of life. Nursery now nursery wing, Sarah's genius spatial. Madison's series premiered to Emmy's buzz, episodes dissecting drama with documentary depth. Critics lauded nuanced redemption, fans flooding feeds with gay girl grace. Summer scorched with festivals. Madison headlining Pride in D.C., Jordan marching beside, kids on shoulders waving flags. Speech thundered. From mocked to march, love leads. Fall's harvest moon marked decade post-crash. Gala at the Grand, chandeliers witnesses anew. Emily emceed, gown lavender legacy. Madison performed medley, Jordan harmonica halo. Toasts cascaded, parents' pride, kids' cheers, Sarah's to Rivers Run. A whisper of more. Madison eyeing film score, Jordan adjunct teaching, Emily congressional run, foundation fueling policy fire. Winter wrapped in warmth, solstice stories by fire, Linden's coos the chorus. Madison reflected, the bride's barb a big bang, birthing this universe of us. As snow silked the city, families fused further, roots river deep, branches sky high. The Lost Sisters' return had rewritten fates, a narrative of nurture over neglect, proving love's logic defies loss. Decades dawn post-crash crystallized clarity. Madison, at 38, surveyed her score, from shattered flute to symphony hall. The Grand's gala lingered in afterglow, donations dwarfing dreams, Emily's poise prognosticating politics. Congressional bid launched with Madison's endorsement video, strummed plea for families like ours, floods notwithstanding. Jordan's adjunct gig bloomed, university course, narrative therapy in queer lives, Madison guest lecturing, students scripting their surges. Novel sequel teased, quartz confluence, weaving twins' tales. Twins turned 3 in triptych joy, Lakeside Luau, Finn's firefly crown, Theo's tambourine solo. River, 10, directed, Willow scripting skits, Sage and Linden giggling Greek chorus. Emily's catering critiqued, more gumbo, less gluten, her inner mogul mentoring mini-me. Sarah's archive opened, ribbon cut by Mayer, walls whispering with wedding wreckage artifacts, anonymized photo shards, Emily's apology letter framed. Dedication. For the mocked, the mended. A pivot for Madison, film score for indie biopic. Firefly Chasers, lesbian love lost to disaster, echoes of her elegy. Scoring sessions in L.A., Jordan co-composing cues, family FaceTiming from sets. Emily's campaign churned, stump speeches in swing districts, Madison opening rallies with anthems. Willow, pint-sized Politico, passed flyers with flair. Vote for Andy M., she fixed her fumble. Health Harmony held. Annual checkups clean, therapy touchstones. Jordan's shadow scare spurred wellness weekends. Yoga by the river, mindfulness with malts. Holidays helixed, Diwali Dias with dreidel spins, kids' cultural collage. River's bat mitzvah beamed, Madison's melody mid-service, tears from Torah to table. Spring score premiered, can nod, standing 0-4, Chasers swell. Red carpet with Jordan, arms linked, power flannel, paparazzi purred. Summer sizzled with campaign climax, primary win for Emily, victory lap in Chicago parade. Madison's float, guitar galleon, glided with family flotilla, confetti cannonading. Fall foliage framed twins preschool plunge, backpacks brimming, Madison misty at drop-off. They'll chase their own fireflies, Jordan consoled, kiss chasing cares. Emily's swearing-in swirled DC glamour, Madison performing at inaugural ball, Sarah unveiling Capitol Queer Caucus suite. Kids wide-eyed at monuments, Linden lisping liberty. Madison's biopic Oscar buzzed. Nomination night tuxes and tension win for score-sealing strut. Speech. For Sisters, Shadows, the song that survives. Jordan's professorship permanent. Endowed chair, book trilogy complete. Madison co-authored appendix. From stage to study. A new chapter. Adoption whispers. Foster teen. 16. River runaway. Vetting vortex, but heart-hooked. Approval afternoon. Hugs in agency office. Welcome, Riley. Riley's integration rippled. Room redo by Sarah. Style session with Emily. Songwriting with Madison. River mentored. Twins tailed. Willow wisecracked. Sage soothed. Winter's weave. Expanded solstice. Riley's rituals shared. Hanukkah Hanukkah her craft. Stories spanned. From flood to foster. Binding bloodless bonds. Spring sapling. Riley's coming out cake. Rainbow riot. Madison's arms open. Our river runs wider now. Emily's bills broke barriers. Foster reform federal. Madison testifying tearless. From lost to legislator's legacy. Summer symphony. Family flotilla on Fox. Kayaks kin deep. Laughter lapping loss. As harvest hummed, Madison mused on the bride's barb. Big bang of becoming. Emily, congresswoman compassionate, caught her eye at harvest feast. You mocked? Nah, you midwifed my miracle. Toast thundered. To gay girls galvanizing galaxies, sisters scripting sagas. In America's artery, rivers revered, oaks omnipresent, love's lexicon, eternal, effervescent. The end? No. Currents continue, carrying kin to kindness unforeseen. Madison's guitar guardian, Jordan's quartz quest, Emily's empire empathetic, Sarah's structure steadfast. Children chasing fireflies, legacies luminous. In every flood's aftermath, they found, not just survival, but splendor, humanity's hymn, harmonious, healing.